right. We are back again. I'm Adrian.
I'm Zach.
We are with Art of Translators.
And this is our series on post-transition issues.
Right. So this time we're going to be discussing kind of like finding your masculine place in society post-transition.
Yeah, redefining yourself and kind of figuring out how you fit in as a man in society if you identify as male. Or we're kind of assuming that in this space you're kind of going through this question of how do I assimilate into society, or do I want to? Right,
or do I want to?
Yeah.
And for us personally, we are kind of average Joes, I would say. But we really aren't like against the grain kind of guys. Like we really aren't really making much political statement in our identities or how we are expressing ourselves. So we're coming from that place, and we obviously appreciate and respect all other kinds of identities and expressions. But
yeah,
we're speaking to ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, really, we're with Art of Translators in general, and I think especially right now, we are creating a resource we wish was there for us.
Right.
Because we're just sort of like, well, what do we do? Right. We don't know what we're doing. But, I mean, I think that what we were just talking about is that when we were transitioning, we were, like, very, very similar.
Right,
I think you're kind of like an amorphous blob. I'm using the same terms. But, and you're kind of, like, all reading the same things, kind of doing very similar things. I think a lot of guys who start testosterone are thinking and doing a lot of the same things. Like, oh, my God. I'm 1 week on testosterone. Look at this hair,
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, not to diss that experience.
No, we had them
because we went through it.
Yeah.
But then, we've come out such different people. Yeah. We've gone off in different directions, really, because you are starting your career. I am applying to graduate school and going into academia, which means that this is probably as formal as I will ever look. I mean, we're very different, and I think that you come to this post-transition stage and you're like, well, I am not prepared.
Right,
I don't know what I'm doing.
It makes sense. Now, we're just trying to... We don't have any resources for how do we create a masculine identity just as
still us.
Right, just like a fabric, a piece of our own fabric. Like, how do we do that?
Because, when you come out, you think... well, this is what masculinity is. This is what I'm moving toward. I need to know about sports and cars and things like that. And you think, I don't really like that, but I gotta do that. I have to cut my hair short because that's what men look like. I can't play around with masculinity if I want to pass. I think a lot of people think that. That's
right. I think a lot of self-expression is forfeited in the name of passing.
Yeah, and then now you're like, I can do whatever I want. I can wear skinny jeans again.
And I'm growing out my hair now. Like I'm gonna grow it out super long just because I can, and that's a privilege that I have from passing. I have a passing privilege essentially, and we all that's kind of what you gain when you are at this stage in your transition, and we just are kind of unsure how to build that identity.
And so, you're asking questions. I mean, I'm asking questions like, who am I in relation to my masculinity right now in this position that I'm in? Because I came out of the queer community and kind of a little differently than you because I identified as a lesbian for a long time and very active in the queer community. I started a gay-straight alliance in my high school and all these things, and so I'm sort of like, I'm in a relationship with a woman right now. I appear really heteronormative, and I kind of embrace a few heteronormative ideals. Like more than that actually makes me feel comfortable. And I'm kind of thinking, how am I expressing my masculinity in a way that's true to myself, that also makes me feel comfortable in society, that doesn't make me feel like I'm betraying my own values, my own political values that I have.
So we obviously are very active in the community, online and elsewhere, and we don't want to totally make that part of us invisible or to lose. We're not trading one piece of our identity for another. Yeah. We want to integrate them, but to make it really portray us as our true selves, and it's just kind of difficult to know what parts of my masculine identity are mine and what parts were parts that I picked up really quickly when I was trying really hard to pass. And I think that's kind of the struggle. Like, what things can I get rid of, and what things are important that I want to keep around as part of my masculine identity. And that's something that I think I've struggled with.
I agree. I've been thinking about that, especially because I don't want to jump from one box to another. I want to feel comfortable and feel like myself. And I've noticed shopping is one way that my identity is kind of played out, because I'm going, all right, I'm not going to wear this just because this makes me look masculine. I want to wear something that feels like me. I mean, I'm kind of looking at things like, well, I don't want to wear really baggy jeans, even though those might make my hips look smaller. I don't really want to wear super tight form-fitting shirts just because I had top surgery and I can't. Really figuring out what works and what doesn't. And then also, what kind of people am I going to be friends with? Because when I started my transition, I thought, this, like I said, this is masculinity, moving toward that. And now I'm like, okay, well, you could be a hipster, you can be rugged, outdoorsy kind of person.
Right, like an REI kind of guy, or or
what,
Urban Outfitters kind of guy.
Yeah, what kind of person am I?
It is a struggle. Like, I found myself recently, and my roommate as well, who is gay, that we are actually struggling to be taken seriously just by the world at large because of our inherent femininity, which is something I'm not willing to sacrifice, and neither is his. Neither is him. But we have like kind of gone on this campaign where we're going to become this like rugged outdoors type, like this kind of mid-30s father who can camp and like make a fire at any time in any place kind of person. And I'm wondering, that sounds really appealing and really great, and I think that would be really affirming for me, but I'm wondering, is that who I am? And like, I kind of have these...
You play with lots of different identities. I mean, it's expensive sometimes because you go out buy 10, all these
I'm going to do that tonight.
But everyone is unique.
Right.
And finding that place is kind of the stage that we're in. If the first year on T is you going through being 13, 14, and 15, then post-transition is being, 17, 18.
Yeah. Like entering into college.
Yeah. You're going, well, I already went through my teens. I already figured, and that's when I figured out I was trans, and now I'm like, well, I'm going through the ordinary late teenage stage of
your
who am I?
Adult identity, your adult self.
Which is weird because for some things we've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
We know who we are in some ways, and then we don't in other ways. And I'm wondering if older trans guys go through this, who transition, in their 40s or 50s, if they go through kind of a teenage phase, or if it's just because we're so catching up on the tail end of our teenage years. Because I'm 21, and you're...
I'm turning 24. Yeah, well, I'm 23 now.
Yeah, so I mean that's different.
Right.
So
yeah, we're just kind of struggling with this. And these are just like legitimate issues for us. I think that these kinds of problems will likely always exist, and they, in some way, manifest themselves in everyone's life.
I think life is figuring out who you are, the whole thing. So it never resolves itself, and that's the thing about post-transition issues. I think they're slow, and they're subtle, and they're the details.
But you can sit and think on them forever. So
that's why this is like the fireside chat or something.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
There you go.
All right, well, that concludes this topic.
All right, look for more.
All right.
It's going to be great.